Maybe I could start with a sort of existential question.
All right.
Which is, how do you define yourself, right? You're here, in a sense, in a series that features journalists. You have training in journalism. You can certainly fit into that box, but of course you're also a cartoonist, somebody who works in the graphic arts. How, if you had to define yourself, might you? And those aren't the only choices, of course.
Right. I think I consider myself a cartoonist, first and foremost, and a cartoonist who's worked in the medium of journalism. Most of my work that I'm kind of known for is journalism, but I sort of got into it for the laughs, basically. I got into cartooning because I wanted to make people laugh. But I'd studied journalism before, so I wanted to be a journalist, but getting out of journalism school, I found there were no jobs in that. And sorry to inform you of this, but I was getting out at a time when everyone seemed to be getting a journalism degree. I think because of All the President's Men, that movie. And for the life of me, I couldn't get a journalism job. And when I finally did, it was like with an association magazine or a city paper that was really advertiser-driven. And it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. And it was sad, but I thought, I just want to get back into something that feels that I'm producing something creative, and that's how I got into cartooning. And then journalism sort of came about because I was still interested in all the things you would be interested in if you're studying journalism. And so my first trip to the Middle East was, I was already working as a cartoonist at that point, but I thought I should do a comic series about what I was seeing. I didn't want to go as a voyeur. And I developed this sort of comics journalism, but there was no theory behind it. It was sort of, it just worked its way out. I realized I had sort of journalism blood coursing through my body, so I approached it as a journalistic assignment, and that's how it came out. And then later on, I became more focused in how I sort of put things together.
So are there things that you learned in majoring in journalism that have stuck with you or served you in the course of your work?
I mean, there are things I learned, and then there are things that I didn't learn. And I think the things that I learned was how to conduct an interview and how to do some research. Now, I think with your profession, I think as a academic historian, you really know how to research. I've kind of had to come up with some of those skills myself. But I think the ultimate thing is curiosity in people. That's what a journalist should have, and that's something I developed. But I think writing hard news was a good thing. What I didn't get from journalism school was a sense of go out there and do something interesting. It was more like, well, what the market requires is, you wrote this article, but where would that fit in? What magazine would that be in? I mean, the professors sort of approached it from what the market would take, which to me was the wrong signal to give in journalism school. I wanted to be told you can do something with this, and yeah, maybe you'll fail, but try it, give it a shot.
Well, you've ended up inventing a genre, sort of, right? And
that's what I'm told.
Yes, well, so. I think that's reality. You said you sort of wanted to make people laugh, and yet you seem attracted to conflict zones. I think it's fair to say. I know there's other work, but a good chunk of your work is about tracing, in a sense, or looking right in the face of some of the most terrible things that human beings can do to other human beings.
Right. And the thing about doing comics is it takes a long time to do. I mean, my last book took me almost 7 years to do. And so you have about 2 or 3 of those books in a row, and suddenly that's what you're known for. But you still might have other interests. I mean, you work on a lot of labor. I mean, labor seems to be one of the angles you take. And I imagine it takes a long time to do.
Well, it certainly does. Any kind of piece of research takes many years. And I think there, too, in academia, there's pressure, of course. There's the publish or perish kind of thing for people trying for tenure. There is a certain pressure for quantity, but anything that has any quality in it will take many, many years to do research and then to write. These things don't happen very fast. So in that sense, I think it's probably not much different.